Today we are talking about the top 5 best and top 5 worst legends that you can run in the Apex ranked mode. We've all been in that situation where the boys have just gotten on for a ranked session and we're all picking our legends and we all settle for our favourite, which results in some goofy composition like Octane, Loba and Pathfinder. So I'm here to try and guide you a little bit on what legends you should be running. Starting off with the worst legends in the entire game, and first up is Caustic. Caustic has seen his days where it seemed that every single team you would fight had a Caustic on it, and it was bad. But nowadays, Caustic seems to really suffer. One of Caustic's biggest pros is that he's able to see people who are currently inside of his gas. But with the new health bar system, enemies can actually see Caustic's health bar through his gas. So although Caustic still has better vision than his enemies, it's just not as good as it used to be. As well, Caustic seems to be a lot less impactful. A lot of the time if I'm fighting a Caustic, I feel as though I can just push through it without it really affecting me that much. Next, for the worst legends is Valkyrie. Valk used to be an insanely good, as she basically gave free rotations, and in combination with a Gibby bubble plus her ult, you were sometimes able to flee your entire team from a bad situation for free. But Respawn decided that a wee while back that they would add her ultimate as a usable item in the game called the Evac Tower. Also, whenever I see an enemy Valk flying around, it feels super easy to just beam her, as her flying movement is super slow without any real randomness. Thirdly is Mirage. Now, Mirage has definitely gotten a lot better since his first release. He's gained some really cool abilities like being able to res teammates whilst invisible, and also respawn teammates whilst invisible. But that's kinda all he does. And yeah, his res can be handy, but why would you run a Mirage when you could be running someone else like Gibby or Newcastle or Lifeline, who can res effectively but also bring other helpful utilities to the team? Also, Mirage has the same issue as Caustic, where the enemy can see his health bar whilst in his ult, which is just a total giveaway to which is the real Mirage. Second to last is Ashe. I mean, her ultimate is fine, I guess. It can make some solid rotations, and it sometimes works as a getaway tool, but a lot of the time when I'm fighting an Ashe, they try to get away using her ult, and you can almost always see the end point, meaning you can just spray the end point and probably kill her. The tactical was shown off relatively recently as an arc star combo where you could snare an enemy and then pound them with arc stars and other kinds of nades, but to be honest, that's just a bit fidgety and can only really be used in very niche situations. Lastly is Seer. Seer has always been either the worst legend in the entire game or the absolute best legend in the entire game. He was released far too strong for his own good when his tactical would scan you for 10 whole seconds, flashbang you, and also cancel your actions like healing, rezzing, or respawning. It was really more annoying than anything else to be 0.1 seconds off of popping a Phoenix kit only to get Seer queued. He has since been nerfed, and to be honest, I feel like he really doesn't do much anymore. A lot of the time now, if I get Seer queued, I just don't really care. I feel as though it just doesn't affect me anymore. And honestly, I hope it stays that way, because I'm not going back to a Seer meta. Alright, so the top 5 best legends to run in ranked, and starting with number 5, and it's Mad Maggie. Maggie is in such a good position right now. Her tactical is by far one of the best in the entire game. While fighting, it can be used as a tool to control your enemy's movements and get some free shots off, or in a situation when you're shooting at long ranges, you can use it to drain your opponent's heals. Really, there are just so many uses for it. Her passive is pretty awesome too, especially in 1v1 situations, as the extra strafing speed whilst running shotguns can give you some pretty unpredictable movements. Plus, if you combine the extra speed with some cool movement things, it looks pretty sick as well. Her ultimate is one of the best tools in the entire game for pushing enemies, as it immediately breaks down doors which will stun anyone holding them down, allowing your team to potentially get a free knock. Or if you just send it into an entire team of 3 and stun them all, then it's just GG's from there. Plus, the speed pads it gives off can be used for pretty much anything. Secondly is Newcastle. I would argue that Newcastle is the best support legend in the entire game, but Lifeline I would say does just have that extra edge on him. His Q is fantastic and can be used offensively, as you can jiggle peek in and out with a shotgun for some pretty free damage or even kills, or it can be used defensively as a tool to protect your team or yourself if you're caught with your pants down. His ultimate is pretty solid too, and you can use it to block doors or holding a position, or even as a way to get into the fight quicker if you've fallen behind your team a bit. His biggest thing is obviously his passive, allowing him to move around whilst rezzing and providing him with a massive knockdown shield that's almost impossible to get around, which just equals free rezzes. And thirdly is Lifeline. I would say that Lifeline just has that edge over Newcastle, as there really is nothing wrong with her at all, and her abilities can be used for multiple situations. Her tactical can heal all flesh damage on all teammates, and pretty quickly too. Her ult is also really good for supplying the team with heals, armors, attachments, you name it. I've also had quite a few situations where I've had the Lifeline call down her ult and just simply use it as cover. Her passive is where it's at though, allowing her to res her teammates without actually having to res them. Just walk up to your teammate and press interact and Doc will res them for you. So overall, I would say that she is definitely one of the best legends in the game, and you'd be stupid to not run her in either 3 stacks or solo queuing. The second best legend in the game is Pathfinder. Same situation here, as all his abilities are just fantastic. His tactical can be used in pretty much any situation, escaping fights, engaging fights, getting angles. It's just an insane movement tool. His passive is cool, allowing him to reduce the cooldown of his ult by simply scanning care packages, which you're gonna do anyway. And when he does, his ultimate will instantly recharge. His ult is pretty simple, with it being just a deployable zipline, but man, it goes far. And if you pair that with his purple perk, you and your teammates will take little to no damage whilst riding the zipline, allowing for just insane rotations. And the best legend in the entire game is easily Revenant. His passes are just nuts, allowing him to climb walls 6 times higher than a normal legend, climb at faster speeds, climb around on walls, and move at faster speeds whilst crouch. Plus, if Revenant hits an enemy to 40 HP or below, it will highlight that enemy, which will also be seen through walls. His Q is just insane too, allowing him to charge up a big jump, which goes just insane distances. It can be used in pretty much the same way as Pathfinder. Escaping fights, engaging fights, or getting angles. The lot. His ult is where he's the strongest though. Simply, he just gets an extra 75 HP shield that will instantly recharge when someone gets knocked, which is just stupidly overpowered. So those are the top 5 best and worst legends in the entire game. But what would I say is the best comp for you to run? Well, my go-to squad would be Pathfinder plus Revenant plus Lifeline. This is an incredibly aggressive squad that can open fights really well, take fights really well, take angles really well, and all that is backed up with the support of Lifeline. Alternatively, you can run Revenant plus either Lifeline and Newcastle, and really anything else that you'd like. Anyways, I hope this video could help you in some way, big or small, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all later.